The morning 2 federal agents parked in front of Denise Whitaker's house, Brook Hollow Ridge went silent in a way that felt almost unnatural. Lawnmowers stopped mid-cut. Dogs quit barking. Even the kids on scooters froze at the curb. Denise stood barefoot on her porch in a dark pink cardigan, her curly golden blonde hair loose around her face, staring at those badges as if they belonged to another planet. Across the street, Aaron Miller watched from behind a flower bed he had already trimmed twice. 2 weeks earlier, Denise had crossed the first line by asking for his Wi-Fi password, as if private internet belonged to the neighborhood. It had sounded ridiculous then. It did not sound ridiculous now. What began as HOA arrogance was turning into a federal-level problem. Aaron and his wife, Molly, had worked hard for their house in Brook Hollow Ridge, a quiet Raleigh suburb where every mailbox matched and every porch looked like it had been approved by committee. Aaron kept to himself, spent most days in a small office above the garage, and worked for a federal cyber defense team that protected critical infrastructure. He was steady, private, and used to solving problems nobody else noticed. Molly liked the neighborhood's order. Aaron tolerated it. Denise Whitaker, the HOA compliance chair, was the reason the balance started to crack. She always looked polished in her dark pink jackets, carried a clipboard like a weapon, and treated every small thing like a violation. She had already made enemies over porch lights, trash cans, and driveway parking. So when she started lingering near Aaron's house and asking questions about Wi-Fi signals, router names, and neighborhood connectivity, he noticed. He just did not yet realize she was building a case in her own head. The first real strike came on a Tuesday morning when Denise arrived with 2 nervous teenage volunteers and a stack of committee paperwork that looked like it had been assembled at a kitchen table. She framed the visit as a digital wellness review, but the real demand was obvious. She wanted Aaron's Wi-Fi password, supposedly to inspect interference and verify neighborhood stability. The request was absurd, invasive, and delivered with enough confidence to make it feel almost official. Aaron kept the screen door shut and refused to give her anything. That should have ended it. Instead, it made her bolder. By lunchtime, the neighborhood email list was flooded with talk of voluntary router transparency, device counts, and signal fairness, as if private internet access were now subject to HOA approval. Aaron stayed quiet, but he documented everything. The problem was no longer bad manners. It had become targeted pressure. That night, Aaron's decoy network lit up with repeated access attempts. The requests were clumsy at first, then more coordinated, and every trace pointed to someone nearby. He preserved the logs, flagged the devices, and traced the movement without touching anything that could compromise the evidence. Then Rachel, a neighbor 2 doors down, found a strange printout in her home office after her printer spit out a page that made no sense at all. At the same time, Aaron noticed a small black box hidden behind a planter near Denise's garage, blinking under the leaves. The trail started looking less like nosiness and more like surveillance. Then Travis Whitaker entered the picture. Denise's nephew arrived in a leased BMW, dressed like a smart home consultant, with too much confidence and not enough caution. He was the kind of polished helper who made trouble look technical. Suddenly, the weird HOA emails, the strange device activity, and the fake concern about bandwidth all connected. Aaron realized Denise was not acting alone. The breaking point came when Denise escalated from invasive questions to a formal violation notice, accusing Aaron's house of causing neighborhood network instability. She attached more forms, more demands, and another date for a compliance review that nobody had voted on. Around the same time, Denise and Travis kept appearing near the curb after dark, pretending to inspect landscaping while their devices probed Aaron's decoy network again and again. The pressure stopped being annoying and started becoming dangerous in a quiet, community-wide way. It was no longer about one rude neighbor. It was about private access, household data, and a committee chair who believed fear gave her authority. Molly saw the evidence folder spread across Aaron's desk and understood the stakes immediately. If Denise kept pushing, more neighbors would be dragged into it. Aaron sent the full package of logs, photos, timestamps, and device records through proper federal channels. After that, the clock belonged to Denise, not him. 3 days later, a blue and white federal vehicle rolled up to Denise's curb, and 2 agents walked straight to her porch with the calm certainty of people who already had the answer. Denise opened the door, still wearing her dark pink jacket, curly golden hair framing a face that went rigid the second she saw the badges. Aaron watched from across the street, pretending to work in the flower bed, while the agents presented the warrant and moved toward the garage. The quiet neighborhood finally saw what Denise had been building behind her clipboard smile. Inside her garage, they found routers, extenders, a laptop, printed password forms, and a crude little command station hidden beside holiday decorations. Travis arrived too late to play innocent and froze the second he saw the scene. The power shift was instant. The same woman who had bullied the block over trash cans and porch lights now stood in the center of her own collapse. By the end of the week, Denise's committee power was gone, her equipment had been seized, and the HOA sent out a panicked clarification saying no resident, board member, or committee could ever request private network information again. Travis became part of a larger investigation tied to separate complaints, and his polished consultant image disappeared almost overnight. Denise eventually accepted a reduced deal tied to unauthorized access attempts and surveillance-related conduct, which was humiliating for someone who had once acted like every porch on the street belonged to her. Her house sold before spring. A new family moved in, brought banana bread, and asked Aaron for a good internet provider instead of a password, which made Molly laugh so hard she had to walk away from the kitchen. Brook Hollow Ridge slowly relaxed. Trash cans still had to be hidden, but now the neighborhood felt like a place to live instead of a place to be watched. Aaron went back to his work, his office, and his quiet routine, but the whole block had learned something expensive. Entitlement becomes dangerous the moment decent people stay silent. Denise had counted on being able to intimidate the quiet guy in the hoodie. She had chosen wrong. So the real question is this: when someone with a clipboard starts demanding what is private, do you fold or do you document everything until the truth has nowhere left to hide?